Hello, this is Brett Settles with Revizto. And today we're going to be covering another topic in tutorial form for the properties panel of our Revizto 5 functionality. So, in addition to the object tree, the properties panel, which is located right here, is located in the 3D environment inside of Revizto and can be found by looking at the list icon that we see right here. Now, whenever I click on this, I'm going to bring up the properties pane, and it is also going to be docked very much like all the other panes that we're covering in these tutorials. But here, I can go in and I can move this around to fit my needs and how I would like my user interface to be. As I move it back over to the left, you'll notice that it says no items selected. And in the properties panel, we have a couple buttons that are grayed out at the top. This button here allows me to add a certain property to the favorites. And we'll discuss favorites in a moment and how those work. This allows me to generate a search based on a property selection. This is also another item that we'll discuss in this tutorial and how those lead into some of the other tools that we've brought with Revizto version 5. Here we can go in and manage custom properties. So first, we'll cover the Manage Custom Properties. In Revizto 5, what we've allowed you to do is add custom properties to objects inside of the project and allow those properties to be used for various types of search sets, filtering, data exports, progress tracking workflows, and so on. When we click on this, we can simply add a custom piece of data or a user property. So we can select an existing one or type in exactly what we want to do here. So maybe we just add a new category called tag. And then here we have the property or style. Let's just say electrical service as an example. And then here we can say Boolean. So this would create a piece of metadata that would allow us to talk about if electrical service is on or off inside of any given building or site or facility. Select that there, and we can see that new custom property has been added and can be selected, deleted, and we also have the ability to rename or search for custom properties. Now, as you can see, we have other custom properties listed here. Now, this just goes over the creation of those custom properties, which is driven from the properties panel. But if I select an item, we're going to see how those work, along with how the majority of the properties panel works. As I click on this pipe segment here in this model, the first thing you're going to notice is that over on the left, all of the properties begin to appear. And I also see some of these properties on my tooltip. What we have done in Revizto 5 is we have re-established the way that we read this model data and have brought in many more levels of model data that can be used in various ways. But the properties panel really exposes that data per object as you make selections. Over here, of course, we can search for properties. So if I type in ID, it's going to give me 11 results that I can then toggle through to find anything that contains that ID or contains the two letters ID in that specific way. We can also do wildcards in here as well. Over here, you'll see that whenever I open the context menu, I get a few more options here. And one of those is to actually add that custom property. This is where I can go in and actually go through the information that I've generated for my project and choose that. So we'll go to the one that we've created before. Actually, let's go with a installation version of this. So we can see, has it been installed? And let's go ahead and say yes. When I say OK, what you'll notice is that we now have a custom area of properties attached to this object that are now tracking this piece of pipe as installed. So custom properties really allow us to work with that object data outside of their authoring environments in various ways that, maybe you don't want to be a Revit expert to essentially get involved in the data of your project. Now, moving on from that, you'll see that up here below the search, we have the ability to set a favorite. To explain this a little bit, the favorite is there to make sure that everybody that's involved in the project has the ability to see the properties that are important to them. If I click on this, you're going to see a lot of duct categories, and then we'll see some field, plumbing, structural, walls, windows. If I select plumbing, what you'll notice is over on the left is that all of the properties that rise to the top of the properties dialog have expanded because this favorite preset has a lot more properties inside of it. And this preset would be specific to a plumber that is working inside the model that wants to retrieve that information very easily. I can come in here, not only see that, but also hover over these elements and retrieve that information without ever making a selection. As you can see here, I can see exactly what all of these plumbing elements are. Gate valve, 65 millimeter, new construction, part of the hot water system. Information coming out right from that property preset. And I can also edit these presets, share them, rename them, duplicate them, and edit them, and even remove them from here as well. So to show how to add a favorite, we're going to jump down here and pick something that's not already favorited. So we'll go with schedule and type. I can click that right there, come up to the top toolbar, select add to favorites, which is represented by the heart icon, and then that property becomes one of my favorites, which allows me to simply come in here, and depending on what favorite set I have, I can keep all of my properties collapsed that I don't need, and simply choose which properties I'm going to work with. For example, if we come over here and we choose a duct, we're probably not going to have all the right properties there, but I can change my preset to give me the information I need about the duct that I've clicked there. And so we've switched from a plumbing preset to a field installation preset that reveals those properties. Now, jumping back to default, one of the things that I'd like to talk about is how the properties interact with some of the other tools that will be covered in these series of tutorials. One of the functions is the ability to create a search set from properties selected in an object. If I come down here and select the system classification, one of the things that you'll see is a pair of binoculars. And that gives me the option to find objects based on a property in a selection. Whenever I select this, I'll be able to create a new search, add to a current search that I have already began to create, or find everything with the same properties. If I create or select find everything with the same properties, as you can see, it has now selected all of that duct. And here, I can show those common properties between those, add a custom property, or even go back to the last interaction. Now, in addition to that, I can open my Find Objects tab, and what you'll see is that I can choose exhaust air from the Properties panel. And whenever I go to Find Objects and create a new search, it will populate my Find Objects panel with the correct search to find everything based on system classification and exhaust air. Whenever I choose Find All, it will find all of those objects just like the prior selection did. From here, I also have the ability to save exhaust air as a search set in our search set tool. So exhaust air, we'll add that to the MEP Systems Ducts folder, say OK, and now we can see all of our various search sets. So properties really interacts with the elements in quite a few ways, in that we can add custom properties. We can use the properties retrieved from elements to create various searches and even elevate those to search sets, which can then be used for many other reasons. And we also have the ability to create custom properties in addition to retrieving all that information. Thank you much for joining me for this tutorial. And once again, we are going to be pushing out all the Revizto 5 tutorials here very soon. So keep an eye out, and thank you for your time.